What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So this time we're going to be doing something just a little bit different from our usual guitar stuff that we usually do here on High Impact Audio. And we are going to be tackling a very crucial piece of equipment that I think is definitely the most important piece of gear to have while you are up on stage as a performer. Whether you are a singer, a guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, it doesn't matter. I think this, especially in today's day and age, is the most critical piece of equipment to have, and that is an in-ear monitor system, also known as an IEM. So I have been building and tweaking my band Perch the Heretics IEM system for around a few years now, and I have made it to where everything that I hear in my in-ear mix, I am in charge of. So I make as much vocals as I want to hear, as much guitars as I want to hear. I am able to mix that down for myself because I've seen just way too many horror stories where people have left their in-ear mixes up to a local sound guy and it's led to permanent hearing loss. But I have found a perfect formulation that works out really well for me while I'm up on stage, and I definitely know that building your own IEM system can be a bit overwhelming if you're doing this for the first time. And what I have done for you guys is I have opened up my band's IEM system just to show you exactly what works for me while I'm up on stage. So really quick, before we just completely dive into my in-ear system, let me explain what exactly is an in-ear monitoring system. So an IEM system is basically a way for you to hear everything that's going on in your live performance through a set of in-ear headphones that will be connected to a body pack, and then the body pack will wirelessly be connected to your receiver. And in a lot of cases, your IEMs that you have up in your ears will replace the need for any kind of floor monitor that you see lined up across the front of the stage, because the mix and signal that you are getting in your ears will be a lot more isolated, consistent, and clear, especially compared to that of listening to your floor monitors as you're trying to move across the stage. Another great advantage to having your own in-ear monitoring system is that you will be saving your hearing, as long as you don't leave your in-ear mix up to your local sound guy. But on your body pack or receiver, you should have an adjustment dial for the level, making it so you can change the volume to whatever you need it to be so you can hear your mix clearly. And also, with your in-ear mix being isolated in your ears, this will also block out any kind of stage noise, in turn saving your hearing. Let's go ahead and actually get into the meat of how your in-ear monitoring system will work. First off, you are going to need a mixer, and the mixer is going to act kind of like the brain on how everything in your mix is going to sound in your ears. Every signal that goes into your mixer, you will be able to adjust the levels for, EQ, compress, add post effects like reverbs or anything else like that, or whatever else that you need to do to the mix that is going into your ears. As far as mixers go, there are a ton of different mixers in different shapes and different sizes, and the mixer that I use in my IEM system is the Behringer X32 here at the top. And this is a mixer that I would say is probably the most popular of mixers to use for an IEM system. It is an absolute powerhouse of a mixer. It has a ton of inputs, has a ton of outputs, and you can hook up to this guy via Bluetooth using an iPad and the Behringer X32 app. It's just something that is really, really cool, and you don't even have to mess with anything on the front panel here. So for every signal that goes into your mixer, you will also need that same signal to go to the sound guy at front of house. And this is where a signal splitter will come in. So you can think of a signal splitter kind of like a fork in the road. So your signal will go up to the fork, and then it will split into two different signals. One of them going into your mixer and your in-ears, and the other going to the sound guy at front of house. And for the signal splitter that I have in my rack, it is the ART S8 signal splitter right down here. And this one can split up to 8 different signals. And in my opinion, that is plenty of signals to split, unless you want to get absolutely crazy and do like 16 different signals in your in-ears. But I really think that 8 is just fine. Of course, the in-ear monitoring system is the most important thing of the entire package here. You will get a transmitter, a receiver, and a set of in-ear headphones, though I do recommend checking out some third-party in-ear headphones because that will ensure that you get a very quality sound with the in-ear mix that you're going to get. When you are looking at different in-ear headphones, they're going to have different numbers of drivers in them. So if you have one driver in your in-ear headphones, it's going to be just fine for like a very simple mix with not a lot of stuff going on in it. And then adding more drivers will be a lot better for more of like a dense mix with a lot of different layers and a lot of different instruments in there. And then when you are looking at your in-ear monitoring system, make sure that you find one that can go mono and stereo as well, especially stereo, because in mono, everything's going to sound very muddy if it's a very dense mix, because everything is basically just laying right on top of each other down the center of the mono gateway there. And then with stereo, it's going to widen things up and it's going to allow everything else to breathe and give space for everything in there. So definitely make sure you check for that. And for the in-ear monitoring systems that I use the Sennheiser G4 monitoring systems down here, and I've had great results with them. They go mono, they go stereo, they cover the whole broad spectrum, and I've been very happy with them. And if you want to go even further down the rabbit hole of the in-ear monitoring system thing, you can look into a combiner, which basically takes the signal from one antenna and disperses it out to several different in-ear monitoring systems. And it will also power several different in-ear monitoring systems. So that's just something that's really cool. And I do have one of those in my system over here. You can also look into a patch bay just to make quality of life a little bit better. And I do have a patch bay as well. And this will allow me to take the split from my signal splitter right over here for the front of house guy into my patch bay and out the front of my rack. That way I don't have to get into the back of the rack case and mess around with a bunch of black spaghetti wires. Now for the moment of truth and the moment that you guys have probably all been waiting for, and that is how my in-ear rack actually works. So I have 8 different signals that go to my in-ears, and only 2 of those signals I actually split and have go to front of house. 1 being my lead vocalist, and 2 being my vocals because I help out with backing vocals. And for the other 6 signals, 2 of them will be a guitar left and right, and I will just take the guitar and I will pan it hard left and hard right for some stereo width. Another 2 will be a backing track left and a backing track right, and these backing tracks going to my in-ears have a metronome in them so I can stay on time with that and I know where I am. And then the other 2 signals is a trash kick drum mic and a trash snare drum mic, and those are just for me. And the reason I'm doing a trash kick drum mic and a trash snare drum mic is because I just kind of want to stay out of the way of the sound guy. I want to just throw my own mics on it and not really have any issues. And I'm not really worried about sound quality or anything, because as long as I know, yeah, that's the snare drum for sure, or that's the kick drum for sure, I know exactly what's going on with the drums. And you might be wondering how I'm able to send so many different guitar signals out to front of house, into the IEMs, all that good stuff. Well, luckily with the Kemper rack profiler, I actually have 2 different main outs, and they are both XLR. One of them will go into the back of the Behringer X32, and that's where I'm able to take one signal and put it on 2 different channels. That way I can pan it hard left and hard right. The other main out will go straight to front of house for the sound guy, and then I'm also using the speaker out on the back of the Kemper to go into my 2x12 Zilla cab. That way there's enough stage sound for anyone that is up in that front row so they can hear what the guitar is doing. And lastly, let me explain how I'm getting all my different backing track signals to my in-ears, to front of house, to everywhere else that it needs to go. So the backing tracks are being supplied by the Idoru P1, which I did a recent video on. So definitely check that out up on the top of the screen if you guys are interested in having a great backing track media player. But on the back of the Idoru P1, there is 6 different outputs. 2 of them is a left and right signal going to front of house. And that is going to be the backing tracks that everyone is going to hear out of the venue's PA system. Another 2 is another stereo left and right, and that's going to be going into my IEM system right over here. And then the last 2 is another left and right stereo, and that is going to be going into my drummer's mixer. And we all have different mixes of the backing tracks for each of us, and it's just kind of tailored to whoever wants to hear what at what point or whatever. So that is how we are getting our backing tracks, and that is my in-ear monitoring system, and that is how it all works. I mean, in the grand scheme of everything, it's pretty simplified and pretty condensed to just how I want to run it. So it works great for me. It is incredibly important that you are able to hear yourself and the rest of your band while you are playing a live show, and a proper in-ear monitoring system will do just that. And hopefully everything that I showed you here today will allow you to control everything that you want to hear in your in-ear mix, giving you the results that you really want. Please let me know down in the comments below, what pieces of equipment did you put in your in-ear monitoring system? I'm actually really interested to see what you guys have, because you might have something that might help me out in the future for me to dial this in even tighter. And all of the links for all of the pieces of equipment that I showed you guys today will be down in the description below. If you are enjoying my videos in any way, shape, or form, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It just helps me out a ton here on the channel. And with that being said, my name is Chris with High Impact Audio, and I will see you guys next time.